Hello everyone, what is up? I'm here live on Wellcode, live directly from Romania, and today we're going to talk about the best programming languages to learn in 2021. This is an important topic, especially if you are a beginner, especially if you want to learn programming and get hired as a software engineer, have a nice salary, a secure job, and maybe even work remotely, who knows. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. And a super important reminder, if you are a beginner and you want to start learning for free, you can start our free program. You just go on wellcode.com, you register for a free account, and a very important thing is that over there we don't just offer you some content, we don't just offer you some free lessons. You actually get to solve problems, you get to write your own code, and also our team of experts will be there, will answer all your questions in such a way that you won't feel blocked, you won't feel stuck, but we will be there to service you. Now, if you have any kind of questions, write them into the comment sections. We will be there and answer all of those. And now let's start talking about today's topic, that is the best programming language to learn in 2021. This is very important for a beginner because choosing the right things to learn is the first thing that everyone does when they start their journeys in switching careers. But this might not be as straightforward as, let's say, choosing the best bike to learn how to ride. Because in this domain, in software engineering, there are a lot of new technologies. There are a lot of new programming languages appearing almost overnight. So then it's a bit of a challenge to choose the right tools and the right things to learn. And because of this, you need to be really clever. You need to be really smart about it. Because if you start learning, for example, Fortran, which is a very old programming language that almost no one uses today, it will be more difficult for you to find a job, to get hired and get hired on an interesting project and a good salary. However, some programming languages might be a little bit too advanced for a beginner, and that's also not good. Even if they are very used, even if they are very popular, a lot of beginners struggle with learning them, and that might also not be the right way for you. So now your question might be, okay, you told me what are the wrong ways, but please tell me the right way. And I'm gonna get to that in a second. But before that, we need to set some things straight right from the beginning. Because if you go online, if you go on a Facebook group, or if you go on a forum or any kind of website and ask what's the best programming language to learn, there will be wars starting. You might actually start World War III if you ask that kind of question in a big enough programming group. So you need to realize that there are two extremes. The first extreme are the people who say that only Python or only JavaScript or only Java or only C++ is the best programming language to start with. Those are the extremists who think that there is only one way and that is the right way. And that's obviously not the case, because if it were just for one programming language to be superior, then all the others won't be used anymore and we wouldn't have that conversation today. So you need to be careful about those things. And also there are other extremists who say that it doesn't matter, programming languages don't matter that much. You need to just develop your way of thinking, or you just need to go on Google and search for code, search for examples, and then put that code on your local machine or on your local computer and just run your code. And that's obviously not good, because you won't understand a lot of things. You will just move code from one part of the other, and you need to be careful about that thing as well. So the right thing is somewhere in the middle. You need to be careful about the programming language that you're choosing, because there are different programming languages. But now I don't want to scare you, because if you searched on Google for programming tutorials or programming languages or things in that area, you will see a lot of results and you'll probably feel overwhelmed with too much information, because I get it. There are a lot of possible places to start. There are a lot of potential programming languages to start with, and you don't have any knowledge of those. So you might feel scared about the right place to start. And I remember when I was in high school and when I started learning how to code, I was very fortunate that at school they just told us, hey, we're gonna learn C++, and that's what we're gonna do. There's no voting, no democracy. It's just, this is what you need to learn. And that spared me a lot of time, a lot of research time, because I tried learning how to code before being in high school. I tried building my own app and I failed, of course, because actually I didn't even start, because I got stuck in the research phase. And a lot of people are getting stuck there because they see that many programming languages, that many different opinions on the internet, and it's simply impossible to see what's right and what is not. Okay, so after you realize those things, you have to start somewhere. And first of all, you need to avoid the unpopular programming languages, and that is you shouldn't use programming languages that are not in use anymore, like Fortran, COBOL, and all the old things. Now, a second recommendation would be not to start with very commercial programming language like Java, because a lot of times programming languages that are used to build a lot of code, to build a lot of real-world applications, have all sorts of shortcuts. They offer shortcuts for building certain things, and that's a very good thing when you are already a programmer, because that saves you a lot of time. But when you are a beginner, you need to understand the principles. You need to understand the basics. You need to develop a new way of thinking in such a way that whenever you have to build a task, whenever you have to solve a task, or whenever you need to build a new application, you won't get stuck in that part where you are just searching for examples and then you are trying to reproduce and adapt them. You need to develop your way of thinking in such a way that you can write code from scratch, in such a way that you can build your own application and you know how to start. Okay? So even though those programming languages are made specifically for you to build applications, for you to build personal projects or real-world projects, they offer a lot of shortcuts, as I said. And those shortcuts sometimes are really easy to be used. Those shortcuts are super easy for you to use. And what does that mean? That means that you can just write a function that you find online, that you find on some examples, and then you run your code and magic, it works. But a lot of times, those shortcuts have multiple ways in which they can be accessed. And in real-world applications, you won't just use the example in the documentation. You won't just use the example in the tutorial. You will need to adapt that example. And for you being able to adapt that example, for you to be able to create something that is also useful and is not just the example you saw on the internet, you will need to adapt your code. You will need to adapt your usage of that shortcut. And if you are not able to do that right, if you're not able to adapt and to create something that is personalized, to create an application that is actually useful and it's not just a copy of someone else's code, then you won't get hired. You won't get a salary, and you'll have to keep your current job that probably doesn't fulfill you. And a lot of times, the temptation is just too big to use shortcuts. A lot of times, we as humans are very lazy, and like using shortcuts, like to somehow get faster to the destination. And a lot of those shortcuts, moreover, are just too complex for a beginner to understand. So then my recommendation is to skip those shortcuts, or actually not to use those shortcuts. And what we are choosing to teach our clients in the beginning is C++. And that might not be the most popular programming languages. That might not be the most popular programming language. That might not be like the sexiest thing to learn in 2021. But it's something that has constantly brought results. And the reason behind this is that C++ doesn't offer those shortcuts. C++ doesn't have a lot of built-in libraries. It doesn't have a lot of built-in code that you can just use and have your real-world application up and running in 5 minutes. So because of that, you need to understand every little piece of detail. And that is scary for a lot of people because there's just a lot of information. The code just looks like Chinese or some foreign language, and it's confusing. It's really confusing at the beginning, but it's the thing that brings the most results. That's the thing that helps people learn the fastest how to code. And it's not just about learning in the fastest way possible how to code. It's also about having that way of thinking develop at a high enough level in such a way that you will be paid for becoming a programmer. Because a lot of people are starting to learn how to code. They have some degree of knowledge. They know how to build simple things, but they are not able to pass their interviews. And a lot of our clients are in that, or a lot of people start working with us. They start when they are at that point. They tried learning before and they just don't pass the interviews. And what we are seeing a lot of times is that they don't have the fundamentals. And because of that, we need to start working with them right from the beginning. Like they need to learn all the small things. And that might sound scary. I realize that what I just said might sound scary because you might be thinking, hey, does it mean that even if I learn some code, I might need to, I'm sorry, a lot of times that might mean that you need to forget everything, or that you worked for nothing. And yeah, you might be in that situation. And the best way of avoiding things like that is to actually have someone on your side, to have someone as a mentor who helps you and who is there to ask is available, and you can ask him all your questions. So having that said, don't forget not to get discouraged. A lot of times, if you have a mentor, if you work with someone, things might get really easy because whenever you feel stuck, you have someone to provide you with help. And if you wanna learn more, we offer that kind of mentorship. You can start our program for free. You just need to go on wellcode.com, register for a free account, and start learning. I wish you all the best. I wish you good luck, and see you on Wellcode.